Guys, let's start in the NFC and see if we can identify a team capable of making a run all the way to Atlanta. Not just an actual wildcard team, but any of these teams playing on wildcard weekend in the NFC.
Well, I'll go with a real wildcard team, and that's the Seahawks.
Okay.
I would take them. Here's why. They're hot, first of all. Sure. They've won 6 out of 7, so that's an easy reason. They're scoring 30 points per game since, week 11. So that suggests to me that what we think of as the typical Seahawks team, that sort of grinding defense, running game, is actually more explosive than we're giving them credit for. Plus, they can play that sort of grinding defensive game, and that's what I expect that they'll do certainly this weekend. I think they're the most likely to go on a run, and they've got Russell Wilson.
Yeah, no, there's something to be said for that.
Big
the
point.
8 wins he has since 2012 in the postseason. Impressive. But I'm going to go with the Colts with Andrew Luck. And when I look at this team as a whole, I don't know where that kind of Achilles heel is of this team in terms of, oh, man, they're in big trouble. They have this issue. Like the Texans with that offensive line.
Rush?
That scares me a little bit. They don't have a pure winner, but their defense is so fast collectively, they're able to get around that. I don't know. Andrew Luck in a postseason, win or go home, that's a good place to be in.
Technically, I asked for an NFC team, but we'll
Oh, sorry. I'm looking up here at the Colts.
I know.
So I'm just staring at them.
I get you. I'll give you the floor for an NFC team.
Yeah, I'll do the NFC as well.
Sure.
When I look at the NFC playing on this weekend, as I'm kind of, so we got one there, one there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the Seahawks are the obvious one, but I'd say the Eagles. Getting back into the tournament, that's a team you do not want to see get into the tournament. Pass rush and a hot quarterback, that'll take you a long way.
How are the Seahawks the obvious one? I mean, to me, the regular season should matter some. The Bears have been the same team every week. They are the most consistent team playing this weekend. I know, Judy, you think the Saints are almost locked in to make the Super Bowl, but I think this is one of those years that any team playing this weekend could make it. It's been since 2012 that any team playing on Wild Card weekend could make it to the Super Bowl, but I don't see a big gap. The teams at the top, like the Saints and the Rams, have not closed out the season that strong. And I look at the Bears and what they have on defense, and all 11 starters playing together is the most unique asset that any of these teams have, and I think they can roll.
I get the defense, but where would you put Mitchell Trubisky in the rankings of quarterbacks you trust?
Last. Of the quarterbacks playing this weekend, last. But I think the defense is good enough, and Matt Nagy can cook up some plays.
See, I look at that game. I like the Eagles in that game because the one thing the Eagles struggled to do was with their pass defense in the back end, they get exposed. I don't think the Bears are going to be able to expose them there, and I think their matchup with that defensive line against the Bears' offensive line, the Bears got a good group. I'll take the Eagles in that one.
Let me just address what Greg brought up. I don't think there's a huge gap either, but I think the X factor is the Superdome, right? I mean, the Superdome for a playoff game, they've only got to win one game to go into the NFC Championship game. The Superdome for an NFC Championship game is going to be bonkers.
People have been, talk about the Saints that way, but I look at the last 5 weeks, and at some point you got to trust what you see. They have not been a dominant team for about 5 weeks. The Steelers came in there, could have won that game. The offense wasn't quite the same. And I know it's Week 17 and it didn't matter, but something rubbed me the wrong way about Kyle Allen going up and down the field on the starting Saints defense.
Yeah, at least for the first half in that one. So let's now, you get to go in timeout now.
We're talking about some college teams now as well.
We're going to the AFC, and Judy, I'll give you the floor for an AFC team you think could make a run here.
Well, I actually agree with you on the Colts, but I don't want to repeat what he said. But I agree. Andrew Luck is on fire, and I love this whole story that they got jilted at the altar, and now here they are.
What would be the Colts' undoing?
Well, I mean, look, to me, their pass protection has held up all year long. Andrew Luck's a different player under pressure when he's not under pressure. A lot of quarterbacks are.
Rush.
I mean, they don't have a great pass rush, but again, their speed defensively combined with their effort defensively, they find a way to cover that up.
They need to keep that intensity every week. This is a team that was trailing late against Miami, that was trailing late against the New York Giants, but I do like their draw that they get the Texans, a team they just beat in Houston, and then if they win that game, they go to Kansas City, which I think is a workable game.
That'd be a scary game for Kansas City.
I think 863 total yards Andrew Luck has thrown against the Texans this year. That's got to change if the Texans want to stay alive here. Did you have an AFC team here?
I'm going with the Ravens. I think they're the toughest team to prepare for in a one-week tournament in the entire NFL right now. It's not just the running game. It's the defense that they're sending so many attacking blitzes that even a veteran quarterback like Phillip Rivers was quite confused when they played. Maybe that's an advantage to the Chargers that they got to see that attack and that they'll be a little more ready for it. But I know up in New England, Patriots fans and maybe
they don't want to
Patriots
see the
fans,
Baltimore Ravens.
The team they do not want to see, and I think they could go on one of those runs.
The interesting thing, though, is if you look at the Ravens' path, which it looks like, okay, you're going to play the Chargers, who have already played you. You've got a chance to see this offense in action. And if you win that game, you'd see the Chiefs, a team that's already seen this offense in action. So it'll be a little bit of an interesting thing here to see, can they duplicate that success against somebody that's not seeing this for the first time?
Well, and that way we begin to talk about the long-term sustainability of what happens with this
Then we can
offense.
have that conversation.
Right. Okay, so the Ravens. So no love here for the Texans, a team that was maybe one of the hottest teams in football here in the regular season.
Oh, but the Chargers have 12 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the Chargers
team.
would be my 1A team of the
Okay,
AFC
so if you weren't going
possible.
Colts,
If I
you
weren't
would say
going Colts,
Chargers.
I would say the Chargers.
It's very
for just that
Chargers
reason.
to win 12 games in a year where all that gives you is
the
a
wrong
trip to
division.
Baltimore
The 5 seed.
in the wild card round.
But this team, look, every time they've gotten on an airplane this year, they've won.
Wow.
That's a good
I think that's the
think
best.
about that.
That's an amazing stat.
And to me, that's the best potential story on the table. Is Phillip Rivers making a run to the Super Bowl? To me, that's the story I would be most excited
Looking
about.
at all those teams, the one X factor I think of is with the Chargers. If Hunter Henry plays, that is huge against that Baltimore Ravens defense.